Can a bee sting a bee? Striped assassins, hidden threat. They are here, they are there, they are everywhere. They number in the billions and trillions. They create cities and colonies. Their race is older than humankind's, and over the millions of years of their existence, they have captured virtually all the territories on Earth suitable for habitation. It was they who brought the first cellular technology to the planet, which is more than 100 million years old. They also carry out almost all of the Earth's pollination, helping to produce food for millions of other living beings. Beware, however, as these cunning, calculating, perfectly organized warriors of the steppes and forests carry a mortal danger to all living things that come their way and try to prevent the implementation of their grand plans. Bees. Most people learn about these creatures in the early years of their life, from pictures in books in kindergarten, from heavy and uncomfortable costumes, or from their favorite cartoons. Further, throughout life, one is constantly confronted with the activity and byproducts of bees, at least at the level of consumption of honey and other products of their livelihoods. Some people even engage in self-torture with the help of these lovely striped pranksters with their large, sharp stingers. For example, a few years ago, a student at Cornell University, one Mr. Michael Smith, over the course of 38 days, experimented with bees by forcing them to sting his mortal body, as he claimed, for the sake of a scientific experiment. Each time, the young scientist substituted different parts of himself for science. He did not forego even his own buttocks and penis. I thought the most painful bite would be for the testicles, he said, but it did not hurt as much as I expected. Michael disappointed the world with his disappointment. It turned out that the most painful bee sting is in the nostril. But these sweet carriers of pollen pose a serious threat, one that does not end with simple disappointment. More than 50 deaths from bee stings and other insects are recorded annually in the United States. 48 people died from the stings of hornets, bees, and wasps in this country just in 1998. More recent studies on the mortality of Australians after contact with animals were conducted by Professor Ronald Welton of the University of Melbourne. Their results were first made public at the end of 2016. These studies have changed the generally accepted view that spiders, snakes, and jellyfish are the most dangerous creatures in Australia. As Dr. Welton learned, along with her colleagues David Williams and Danny Liu, between 2000 and 2013, many more Australians were killed by the bites of bees, wasps, and hornets. Of the 42,000 people who suffered from the bites and stings of poisonous animals, including fatalities, 31% were attributed to the stings of hornets, wasps, and bees. In this, they surpassed even the infamous Australian spiders, which accounted for just 30%. A high mortality rate from the poisons of various Hymenoptera, that is, wasps, bees, and ants, was comparable to the bites of snakes and spiders. The scientists explained that people bitten by bees or wasps often underestimate the danger and don't seek medical help in time. The main cause of death is allergic reactions. They occur, according to various estimates, in between 1 to 7% of the population. This figure reaches 22% with beekeepers, as the severity of reactions increases with each bite. Note that in recent years, the amount of allergies has increased noticeably. What exactly is in the poison of bees? And in practice, the analogous poison of wasps that results in such dreadful consequences like itching, hives, fever, fear, shortness of breath, abdominal pain, dizziness, vomiting, choking, incoherence of thoughts, feelings of doom, loss of consciousness, and even sometimes death. The most toxic component of bee venom is melittin, a peptide that is able to destroy red blood cells, activate substances that cause various kinds of inflammation, increase the permeability of the vascular wall, and reduce muscle. The worst thing, its enzyme, phospholipase A, which is about 10 to 12% of the poison, is able to destroy cell membranes, and as a consequence, the cells themselves. Another substance, histamine, causes an allergic reaction, swelling, spasms in the bronchi, and a drop in blood pressure. Finally, hyaluronidase is an enzyme that breaks down mucopolysaccharides, which leads to a rapid spread of edema. We all know that bees are hardworking and well-organized beings, but very few people know the peculiarities of their love relationships. The way that bees reproduce is simply shocking and is, at the same time, one of the most beautiful and terrible of natural dramas. The process of the pairing of bees is a truly amazing undertaking. Tens of thousands of the insects soar into the air, forming a swarm, and fly 2.5 to 3 miles away from their beehive. The bulk of this swarm of bees are workers, sterile females. The single queen has between 5 to 7 drones that are directly responsible for mating. When the swarm is formed, the queen bee begins to emit a special scent to attract the males, and she can mate with several partners, at least until she gets enough sperm for successful fertilization. After that, the genitals of the male drone often break off while remaining in the queen's crocheted pocket. The male perishes at once. By the way, tragedy can overtake the queen mother as well. If the swarm is near a pond, then the couple, carried away by each other, can simply fall into the water and die without reaching orgasm. The fate of the surviving drones is no less tragic. After fertilization, as their nature is not adapted to collecting pollen, they are no longer useful and are expelled from the hive by the other bees and die of starvation. And now, speaking of the males and, more importantly, the females, we finally come close to our main question. Can a bee sting a bee? Okay, we have no patience. We will immediately answer yes, a bee can sting a bee. There are several reasons for this. Let's start with an external threat. Bees from another colony can attack, seeking profit, for example, stealing honey. In this case, when trying to enter the hive or nest, they will be attacked by the owners. Other representatives of the species may attack. Bumblebees often do this. They can sting to death, but most often they simply bite and expel the bees from their nest. Interestingly, in a case such as this, a bumblebee can hide inside the nest of its enemy and even become a member of the colony. It's worth noting that, in addition to the battle of the stings, the worker bees of some honey species have their own special techniques to combat this external threat. For example, with huge hornets that exceed them several times in size, bees encircle the hornets by the hundreds, forming a dense circle, and actively vibrate the surroundings with their wings. Due to this action, the temperature and level of carbon dioxide inside the circle increases, and from this, the hornets die. Of course, one of the cruelest, most dramatic, and at the same time familiar to the animal world of bee conflicts is the struggle of females. The queen bee is not particularly interested in worker bees from other colonies. No matter how they try to threaten, she stings and kills only her rivals. The new queen, as soon as she gains the strength, goes to inspect the colony. Upon finding other queens who are only just developing, she mercilessly stings them to death. But let's not demonize the bees. These little striped chemical engineers and miniature biologists bring enormous benefit to the animal world, to the plant world, and to man. The same bee venom which causes negative reactions in the human body can also have a therapeutic effect. This product from the world of bees can improve metabolism, stimulate the immune system, reduce blood pressure, reduce the activity of the inflammatory process, inhibit the vital activity of harmful microorganisms, normalize cardiac activity, is an anticoagulant, has antispasmodic and analgesic action, can activate the enzyme and hormonal system, and in general, create real miracles. And it can even save human lives. Case in point, 27-year-old American Ellie Lobel argues that it was the numerous bee stings she received that saved her from the terrible deadly disease that she had contracted from other insects, ticks. She had Lyme disease, which is caused by tick-borne bacteria. In less than a year, it turned this young woman into a physically and mentally disabled person, into a being that couldn't even think logically. After living like this for 15 years, Ellie moved to California to die. It was there that she was attacked by a swarm of hybrid Africanized bees, and she believed they were her last moments of life. But she did not die, and on the contrary, recovered from her terrible illness. The substances in the bee venom apparently had destroyed the pathogenic bacteria. It turns out that the same Melitin, which we mentioned earlier, in the right dosage and under certain conditions, can be used as a powerful antimicrobial agent. It does this easily and without excessive chemical activity, and fights off and kills various bacteria and fungi. Many researchers believe that using bee venom, we may now be able to fight arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and, get this, cancer and HIV infection. Melitin is capable of destroying the protective membrane of the human immunodeficiency virus without damaging other cells of the body, and the virus cannot develop a mechanism for resistance to Melitin. Researchers at the University of Washington School of Medicine in St. Louis, Missouri, made the discovery. Joshua Hood, one of the leaders and authors of the study on the subject, said at a press conference, "Melitin destroys the inherent physical property of HIV. In theory, the virus cannot adapt to this scenario. The protective shell is vitally important to the virus. In the future, scientists hope that with an injection, it will be possible to introduce special nanoparticles with Melitin into the human circulatory system, and thus to purify it of the virus." It turns out that bee venom, well, it's like nuclear energy. It all depends on how you use it. And these small buzzing insects in the future will not just shock, but surprise humanity in a good way. What will be if we wrap you round and round with Scotch tape? Throw the whole package into a microwave oven. Roast it quite well. Feed that to a giant hungry whale. After that, drown you in the ocean. Then bury you alive, send you into space, then let you drop back down to Earth straight to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. After that, take you out and dry you under a nice warm lightning storm. Dress you up, comb you out, stick you on a plane, climb to a height of 30,000 feet, and toss you out once more, where you plummet back down to the unyielding surface. Of course, without a parachute. What will happen then? Let's ask Arnold. How are you feeling, buddy? You still on your feet? Well then, how about this? There's no time to explain. Just click on the link in the description and watch the first episode in this awesomely great new cartoon series, soon to explode across the entire damn internet. Come on, press the button. You can't resist subscribing to this channel.